Hey guys, Nick Pecora here, F-Stoppers Rider, and today we're going to be reviewing the DJI Phantom 4. Stay tuned. So last month, DJI released their latest version of their Phantom series, the Phantom 4. Opposed to its predecessors, the Phantom 3 Professional, Advanced, and Standard, it'll be offered in only one model. It's jam-packed with some great new features, so we'll be showing you everything in this review. Some of the great new features on the Phantom 4 are features like ActiveTrack, which allow you to track your subject and fly your drone hands-free. A great feature for beginners is Tap to Fly, which all you have to do is tap on your screen and you'll direct your drone. And DJI has also released its latest obstacle avoidance technology, which will allow the drone to avoid obstacles like trees or walls or anything like that. This is the first drone I have ever flown, and I'm going to show you why this drone would be perfect for beginners to grow into as flyers. Before we dive into some of the highlights of the new features, let's look into some improvements from previous models. DJI has improved their propellers to an easy snap-on functionality, opposed to screwing them on, which gave flyers the hazard of possibly unwinding. With a new snap-on feature, it makes the props very easy to snap, secure, and ready to fly within seconds. The Phantom 4 has increased its battery time by 5 minutes, at a listed 28 minutes opposed to its predecessor at only 23 minutes. When flying, I was able to get a solid 22 minutes of flight time before I reached low battery. Let's talk about some of the minor upgrades in the camera. This includes 1080p at 120 frames per second for slow motion capability. It also has the capability of taking HDR photos. New sensors on the Phantom 4 help maintain perfect position while hovering. I ran into a minor issue with the camera gimbal being crooked while flying. I found that it is important to lay your drone on a flat surface while calibrating. Now that we've gone through some of the new improvements of the Phantom 4, let's go through some of the new modes and features that they're offering. We'll start off with the new Sport mode. This advanced feature gives the drone an option of reaching speeds up to 44 miles an hour. This is a 20% increase in speed opposed to the Phantom 3. This feature is only recommended for experienced flyers and does not offer obstacle avoidance in this specific mode. It is also very important to monitor how high your altitude is before advancing. The drone has a tendency to nosedive at high speeds. One behavior I liked about this feature is the drone automatically ascends when backing off the throttle, as you can see. Now let's move on to Tap to Fly. Tap to Fly makes it super easy for beginners to fly right out of the box. All you have to do is tap on the screen to direct your drone. This feature was very easy for myself to figure out and use. I had an issue at first though. My default speed was starting out at 22 miles an hour, which is relatively fast for beginner mode. Be very careful when using this feature for the first time. On the display, it presents a quadrant where you decide to move up and down, left or right, or fast or slower. While I did find this easy to use, I didn't find it any better than flying the drone's regular flying mode. This drone is very easy to fly out of the box, and I found confidence fairly quickly when flying it. For the Phantom 4, DJI introduced its new obstacle avoidance technology. What this is the drone will now avoid obstacles such as trees or walls or anything in its path really. What happens is once you approach a obstacle, let's say 10 or 12 feet, it'll stop promptly and an alarm will sound from your remote control. I'd also like to note it only detects objects in front of the drone, not from the sides or behind, so be wary of that. Usually it works just fine, but I've ran into a couple of situations where it doesn't, as you can see here. And also another issue I ran into is when it's in tight spaces like this here. I'm in between walls and a stairway, and it kind of got stuck. So it's not perfect just yet. Last but certainly not least is the new Active Track. What this is you click and drag across any subject, you click go, and it will track hands-free, and it'll try its best to keep it in the middle of the frame here, but it will track your subject and fly itself, as you can see here. Now let's see an example here when it goes in between an obstacle, like a tree here. It'll lose it for a second and it'll search for your subject. And as you can see, it finds it just fine in most cases. Here again. There you go. And it finds it just fine and goes along its way. And a friend of mine, Abigail, was kind enough to let us try it out on her horse, Ruby. So let's see how it does. While it works great most of the time, there are some limitations. I've noticed that it doesn't work that great in low light situations. Also, if your subject goes under the drone, it loses it and you'll have to manually retrack it. Other than that, smooth pivots and pans, an amazing feature. So if you've been thinking about investing in a drone or thinking about upgrading from the Phantom 3, I think it's a no-brainer to upgrade. I'd really recommend it. While it hasn't really upgraded much in the camera department, I think the new features that it offers makes it a no-brainer. Features like Active Track, the snap-on props, the obstacle avoidance. It's all around a great package, and I believe that at that price point also at $13.99, it isn't too steep, relatively speaking. I also think it's a great drone for beginners to use and eventually grow into an intermediate and advanced flyer. So that's why I'd recommend the Phantom 4. It's a great drone, it's fun to fly, and yeah, I'd recommend it. And remember to register your drone with the FAA. It's only $5, and I'll provide the link in the description. Other than that, guys, have fun and safe flying.